Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So we hope everybody is having an amazing day, or as they say around here, a blessed day.
That's so nice. Everybody's so nice here.
They really do. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
And there's no agenda. That's what I love about it. It's like you can really feel their hearts. You feel their soul, and they're just nice.
You know, I wish we could have an agenda-free world.
I do too.
What would that look like?
Oh, wow. It would be amazing. Then everybody could care about everybody else openly with no worries,
I think people could care about each other openly with no worries. Unfortunately, I think the system is set up to kind of keep us just in fear of each other. This is Qigong Tunnel. This is over in China. The floods that have been going on there are insane. If you could see that back there, this is a place that's normally loaded with cars, and we're going to take a look at a few other photos, videos. What happened here, we don't know the actual scope of how many people lost their lives and the tragedy that's gone on, because the flooding that happened there happened so quickly. It was absolutely loaded with people and cars and back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic just sitting there in a tunnel that goes underground, that's about 15 feet tall or more, and it was completely flooded to the top. There were tons of people in there. You know, some people are estimating over 6,000 people have lost their lives in the floods going on just in this area. Zhengzhou, China here, and you just see the cars just floating on by. Of course, you know, with the political BS that goes on in the world, there's always a saving a face. And, you know, when you look at the media, the CCP media, you know, they're always accentuating the rapid response and the wonderful job the powers that be over there have done in you know, saving lives, etc., and not being truthful about how many lives were truly lost in this. Again, it's all about spin. This is a world of spin we live in, and it's not just over there, it's over here too. You know, everywhere we look, the political leadership is spinning things always to their, well, they're trying to make themselves look good all the time. The white shirt man rescued 5 people on Tuesday at the entrance of that tunnel. His name is Yang Junkui, a 45-year-old retired commando. You know, some people truly will rise to the top and will do anything. They'll be like superheroes out there, just risking their lives trying to get people to safety at the risk of their own. And then we have the leadership that we see around this world, where no, they're watching everything that happens, and you know, they're having their own fine dining going on, not just in the fine dining ware country, but in other countries all around the globe. How many leaders of the world do you think would be out there doing what this guy is doing? Can you imagine JB doing that? Can you even imagine 45 doing that out there swimming? Some of you will imagine that. You know, we could go and look. How about Macron over in France? Do you think he would get his tux wet to jump in and try to save a life, or do you think he would just go running for shelter for himself? Or Merkel and Bojo? We could go on and on with the, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the absolute more than pathetic leadership that the world sees. The leadership of the world is tragic, totally incompetent. And that's giving them the benefit of the doubt, because, you know, we could go deeper and say, well, it's not just incompetence like we see, you know, over in California with the recall. Will he be recalled or won't he be recalled? In my opinion, you know, what we've seen with, you know, do what I say and not what I do, you know, he should have been out of there a long time ago. But then again, you know, there's apparently no justice in this world for the elite and the ones that call the shots.
No, there's not. This is really sad, and most people do, the common people do just want to be good people, but we just don't have that structure for overall.
Yeah, and killing at least 33 people. No, it's many, many, many times that. And then, of course, linking it to the climate crisis, and again, that spin, that agenda. This, we've been talking about 1,000-year floods. Well, maybe we have to go back to the last biblical flood. And then again, it was hitting me last night when you look at again, we've talked about how often people get divided by their religion, because you have people that believe the earth is really only 6,000 years old, and they look at everything in the literal sense because they just can't seem to process things uh, more realistically, and that would again obviously be a statement that would get certain people irritated and angry. But then again, you have to look deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Look all around. If we could open our eyes each day in a different country and truly see from the people, the average person's perspective, what they go through in each country around the globe, then that could perhaps wake us up to what's really going on.
Yeah, it really could if we had those opportunities, and most people would gladly do something like that just to see how things are and how they could maybe make the world a little bit better place.
Yeah, and really, there's probably tens of thousands that have lost everything. Have lost their lives, their family members in these floods. These are inconvenient truths by Jennifer saying. Um, you could watch this video; it'll show you everything. And as this one's saying, the day after tomorrow, it is. I mean, here is a subway with maybe 1/3 the airspace left, and it's rising, and the people are trapped. The people are trapped in there. And we've talked about weather, WARFARE, which is seemingly going on across the globe. We know the technology is available, but yet they just say it's just carbon emissions doing all this. Of course, there's natural cycles involved as well. But as we've talked about the artificial flavoring, enhancing these things, putting them on steroids, truly we are witnessing things right now that are very much like the movies. It really is. It's like some of the worst, uh, you know, ecological disaster movies you've ever seen. This is in Turkey. It looks very, very similar to what you're seeing in China. Vehicles just being, swept away. And of course, we have the drought, as we've been saying, over in Yemen. And Yemen's a country that, we should all pray for, and pray for just the people around the globe. If we could get the average people in the United States praying for the people in China and Russia, and the people in China, Russia praying for the people in the United States, breaking down these barriers, because again, it's not the average person that is starting the conflicts in the first place. This is all a manipulation of, the leadership that's on the planet. Divide and conquer again.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we keep separated. And, Yemen has been suffering from quote unquote like civil war. Again, it's a proxy war. It's another proxy war ongoing. It's just another a travesty that's upon the planet. And when we look at really the whole Middle East and down into Africa, it's really an abomination what we see going on with the constant strife. And here you have millions of people that are literally starving to death again. When will the people of the world wake up and recognize what the real problem is? The real problem is the leadership of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
And
is.
and it's not just involving one item, one topic, although of course there's one topic that is, more on the minds of most people than others, which I think we all know about, what that topic is, with the plague upon the land and everything that comes after that. Meanwhile, you have a nuclear reactor in China that it's a French company that is in partnership with the Chinese power structure at this nuclear power plant, which has fuel rods that are damaged. They say that it's not emitting anything as far as dangerous levels yet. If this was in France, they would have shut it down. But in China, they're not shutting it down. And again, a lot of times things are all about saving face, even when it means people might perish.
Right. They are just worried about their own self and their own butt, and that becomes priority. And it's really, really sad because we're out here on the outside watching and we see what's going on. But do you think they really have a clue? I don't think they do.
Magma is rising at Great Sitkin volcano in Alaska. So that did erupt a little while ago, and it looks like it's getting ready for another eruption as many of the volcanoes are coming online. California moves to cut off water to thousands of farmers as drought dries up rivers. Again, what have we seen with the plague upon the land? Well, the billionaires made record profits. And all the small mom and pops and even mid-size companies, restaurants, I mean, there's so many businesses that went out of business that's not going to return. And, again, the small farmers are getting wiped out as well. And so, again, we have the upper echelon consolidating the wealth and using the tragedies to basically control more and more of all the resources that are going on. And England facing weeks of pandemic disruption to services and food supply. And there's a lack of people in so many industries now, and people that are not coming back to work ever. And people that, are just kind of tired of the system. And it's really been a stress on the average person around the globe. When you looked at the numbers of children, I had seen one study that was talking about the number of children that were affected by the plague upon the land. It's minuscule compared to the number of people 18 and under that are in deep depressions and have actually taken their own lives. It's minuscule compared to what it's doing emotionally to people all over and in various countries. And meanwhile, the power structure is still all about the wrong things. Here you see E4B Doomsday plane just made a highly unusual visit to secretive Tonopah Test Range Airport. Seldom, if ever, do E4Bs visit Tonopah Test Range in Nevada. In this case, the Secretary of Defense might have been on board. These are the ones that go airbound in case of nuclear Armageddon, nuclear issues. So what's up? Was it just a case where the Secretary of Defense wanted to go visit some ETs over there and check out what's happening at Area 51, see some top secret things firsthand? Or, is this a practice run for, a greater potential conflict to come? We don't have answers, just a lot of conjecture.
Right. It does feel very much like a dry run, though.
Yeah, it definitely could be a dry run as you see them fist bumping there. And, these are called doomsday planes. So these are what take to the sky with, the power structure to get them to safety, to get them in place in case of conflagration. And as we said, there's nowhere for average American citizens to go as far as doomsday bunkers. However, yes, the government, they have their doomsday bunkers where they will be safe. They'll be watching everything happen while 330 million Americans would be basically out in the open, and basically a turkey shoot. And sorry if this is coming across a little bit aggressive, but it's frustrating. We had a great conversation yesterday with somebody that is very much in the power structure, and was asserting the fact that there are many, many good people in the power structure that want to see the power structure change. It's just the fact that at the upper levels, there's most definitely resistance to change in a rapid way that we need. We need a rapid change. We need a completely new way of looking at things, especially in these times, because it's pretty obvious that things are escalating rapidly in many different fronts.
It really is. It's something that, it's difficult to take in. It's difficult to analyze and process, but it's something we need to do so we know how to prepare.
And we see China's digital yuan could pose challenges to the U.S. dollar. As we know, what's going to come is that you're not going to have anything in your hand that's going to be meaningful, or at least that's the plan. And many people right now are, diversifying. Some, are investing in Bitcoin, some in actual physical gold and silver. Others are looking to have tangible assets they could even trade, barter later on when things get even more crazy. And it's hard to imagine them getting more crazy, but it is the direction that we find ourselves spinning in. And, this complete cutoff from each other, which had to happen before there could be an open conflict. And there most definitely is the potential for an open conflict on a global scale, is there. And we know that that's been something that's been in the long term's works. As many have said, when you look to, for instance, China, they have plans that go on the scale of decades and centuries. They're not impatient for as a mindset that is out there in their leadership and structure, and even in their tradition. They tend to be patient.
Mm-hmm. And something that we don't really have.
It's part of the culture, as well. And every culture has its strong points. And when we get down to it again, the average people that are suffering in the floods over in China, they don't wish harm on the average person over in the United States or in the UK or Canada or Australia. And this is what we need to get across to each other. Remember those Iranian warships that they thought were heading to Venezuela? Well, they're in the Baltic Sea, and they apparently are heading towards St. Petersburg, Russia, to take part in, some festivities or celebrations militarily. It'd be great if we could celebrate peace more than celebrate military victories and defeats and all that. How about a world peace day, a global peace day that is sincere.
Yeah.
Sincere, not fluff, not things that they throw out there that they know, are not going to go anywhere. So yeah, it's a military parade in St. Petersburg that they appear to be heading towards as they've made their way past Denmark, heading over towards Russia. And we heard about that pullout of American troops from Afghanistan. So, oh wow, are we going to have peace? Afghanistan hasn't had peace for 50 years. Longer, really. Taliban vows revenge for recent U.S. airstrikes in Afghanistan. And in this world, you don't have to have troops on the ground. We have drones. We have airstrikes. You could call in whatever you need to call in from a computer. And here the U.S. confirmed that its forces recently carried out airstrikes on Taliban in Afghanistan. And U.S. foreign forces are on their final stages of withdrawal from the country. And where are they going? Are they going to come home, or are they going to end up in Iraq? Are they going to end up in Somalia? Are they going to end up in Sudan? Any one of 100 different countries?
It's pretty amazing and incredible what they do.
Yeah. And you see here a second drone strike hits Al-Shahab in Somalia. And as we know, Somalia is one of those countries also that's been just constantly torn with war and strife. And they said there's no again U.S. forces in the vicinity over there, but you don't have to be in the vicinity again in this world. And there's a crisis in Ethiopia. What the media isn't telling you about the war in Tigray. And again, this is in that same area. Again, you see Yemen here. You have strife going on here. We were just talking about Somalia, Ethiopia, and there's also water wars, that are ongoing, and as well as just resource wars in general. As everybody is kind of at the upper levels, they kind of know what's coming, and they're scrambling for resources, not because they necessarily value the lives of their people, but more they value their position.
Mm-hmm.
As our good friend David Adapt 2030 says, these times mean the end of dynasties,
Mm-hmm.
is what typically comes. Lebanon's people lined up in queues of humiliation as their country unravels with hyperinflation, lack of resources. Here's another country where you might go and wait all day in a gas line. How about medication? Something like aspirin could send you on a day-long hunt from pharmacy to pharmacy just to find some aspirin. Thankfully, we still have the ability. In a worst case scenario, you could order things on Amazon. Though it was interesting because I remember telling you guys I ordered some coconut oil in bulk, and so I don't know what happened. I'll have to check into it. But basically, they said undeliverable, and they canceled the order. So might have to go hunting for some more coconut oil. And I wonder if it's a case where things are starting to run out, or if it's just maybe got damaged in shipping. Who knows? But again, it's all about being prepared and being as self-sufficient as we can be. We can't count on governments, any government in this world, to take care of us. That's for sure, because they haven't done a very good job so far.
Well, no, I mean, look at the state of health of most people. They've diverted us and sent us in different directions as far as what keeps us healthy and what makes us sick. And they've kind of crossed all those roads for us and confused us. So you bet they're only going to look after themselves.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is again the mindset. And we do know that there are people that have really good intentions that enter public service, quote unquote, and try to make a change and try to make a difference. And soon they realize that they're swimming upstream. And it's as if they're basically, getting caught up in a tidal wave that they're fighting, trying to fight against the system that's in place. The system that's really all about keeping things status quo, and or basically consolidating that wealth into the hands of fewer and fewer people. And we had heard so much about, there's overpopulation. And now we're seeing kind of the inverse thing that's happening in so many countries. As you see, there are more adult diapers sold in Japan than baby diapers.
Wow.
And 25% of Japan's population is over 65. So that is, and they are actually the longest lived country, on average. So what you're going to have there, because there's no baby boom there, is really a decreasing population. It's happening across the globe in many places. Really, just basically sub-Saharan Africa is one of the few places where the population is actually increasing. But there's going to be so much going on there as far as resource grabbing, and we already see, again, the real powers of the world, the bigger powers of the world, such as the United States and China with Russia, their consolidation and trying to control and manipulate the leadership of these countries against each other as a resource grab that's going on. It's a wake-up call for the earth. This is a wake-up call for everybody. It's kind of like that, last call before, last stop everybody off. And, we are on that pathway to ascension. And yet everything that we see going on is all about stopping that ascension process, stopping the awakening. But the awakening is happening. It's just not happening at a fast enough pace for those of us that want to see the awakening. And then it's happening at too fast of a pace for the powers that be at the same time.
Yeah, we have a whole lot of stuff going on. It can be very confusing, but it's super important we keep our laser focus on ascension. That's the most important thing.
And again, I guess when we look at all this, what we need to have people recognize is that, we have to take control of whatever we can take control of in our own life. And so again, preparing for whatever is coming mentally, spiritually, and physically, because, well, let's just, think about this. Put yourself in the place of the people perhaps that were, trapped in these cars. And were they training for a swimming event? No. But being physically as healthy as you could, like this gentleman is saving lives. And, he was a commando. So obviously he's somebody that was used to being in very good shape and physically fit. But even saving your own life, or saving the life of your spouse or your child. There was one video where a father was swimming to try to catch up to his child that was being swept away. This is part of what we have gotten as far as the message from the guides is we need to be in as good a physical shape as we can be, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be challenging to us on a physical level. And then you could add into that the emotional, mental, and spiritual level as well. We need to wake up the people of the world so that they stop going along with a system that values death and destruction, competitiveness, consolidation of wealth and power, everything that's so ego-driven, service to self instead of service to others, where, this gentleman is a perfect example of service to others. He's out there helping others. He didn't just say, hey, I had my training, I'm in good shape, you guys, too bad, so sad, bye-bye. No, he's risking his life out there trying to save others. And you might be risking your life trying to save others just by simply opening up your mouth and sharing something, some information that perhaps, is information that goes against the structure, but yet is something that can actually save lives later on down the road. And that's a brave thing to do.
It's huge. And for him to get where he was, he did have to spend an awful lot of time on himself so he could get strong and he could do these amazing things. So that's why it's really important that you guys spend time on yourself, getting yourself healthy, changing your diet, making sure you got really good food coming in so that if you're in that position, you can help other people too.
Exactly. And just think about the mindset that we've been conditioned to have. And it's all about division. When we look at the Olympics that's going on, it's competition. And as I've said before, can you imagine if we had some sort of big games, so to speak, but instead of competing against each other, how about finding ways to find solutions to global issues and global problems? The power structures that be have given us nothing. And that's being generous when you look at it. Look at the condition of the globe right now compared to whenever it was that you were growing up. And that might be just 10 years ago. For many of you, 20 years ago, maybe like me, it's quite a bit more. Have things gotten much better? Or have things actually seemed to deteriorate? The inequality between the haves and the have-nots globally has gotten far worse. Each succeeding decade. I look back at the 80s now and think, God, those were golden times, and then my mom would say, oh, well, I feel bad for you guys. We lived in such good times. We never locked our doors. We were totally safe as kids walking, down the city streets, totally safe, never worried about anything. Things have been in this downward spiral. And it's because of the mindset that we are brought up with, that constant division, constant struggling against each other instead of finding the commonality, recognizing that we need to change the structure itself. And that's becoming apparent to more and more people, that we need a complete reset, and not the type of reset that, obviously the elites desire, which will end up with, as the World Economic Forum says, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it.
Right.
Well, let's see them do that.
Exactly.
If that's the case, then yeah, let's see the billionaires, basically give away all their wealth. Let's see the Klaus Schwab. Let's see him own nothing, and let's see how happy he would be with that. Maybe he could go pitch a tent somewhere, in California, in one of these tent cities where everybody is homeless.
Right.
Let's see how well they do out there. Instead of eating their caviar and sipping their champagne, let's see them actually get their fingers dirty and start to plant their own gardens.
Yep. I mean, it's very rare. You won't see it. You darn sure won't see it. And that's a shame, but that doesn't mean that we should be that way too. We need to be different because we want different. We need to do different.
Yes. And so we have to also, again, when we look to all the riots and everything that's going on around the globe, as there was a lot going on in France again, and you see the frustration of the people, and then you see the people that are basically serving the power structure. They have to realize that, are they really helping things? Because it has to change. It has to change. You're not going to get change from having more of the same. So a little bit of a rant today. I hope you guys will put up with my rant, as it's most definitely time for people to wake up, and we can affect change to a higher degree in our own communities. And that's where we basically are going to have to start, by pulling together locally, by helping each other. And while we still have the ability to, it doesn't even have to be really local. It can be doing things to support each other, like our good sister Nicole, for instance, gave us some garlic that we could plant from her garden. We could reach out and trade with each other outside of the power structure, so they can't tax us for it. Because again, this is all about middlemen and having the ability to make profits off of everybody all the time in a passive income way. As we see, the whole banking system has to go. It's not a wonderful blessing that it's going to go digital. That's just more control. What we need is less control. What we need is ways of cutting out the power structure, such as barter and trade and working together.
And being able to unplug your devices and go out and figure out how to do things in such a way where you use your hands again. It's almost like they're taking away our ability to use our hands and work for ourselves. So we need to regain those arts that our grandparents had in the garden and spend our time there.
Yes, we need to go back to the past in so many ways and reconnect to the earth. And I want to thank everybody for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Do check out Medicinal Foods. A lot of great products there. And again, this is a small company run by good people. And, they're really good guys. They're really good guys, good people here. Sky Cubby is the founder, and Ishmael has worked with us to set up this Evolutionary Energy Arts website, where you could actually get product that does support our endeavor here to try to wake up as many people as possible. And they really are really concerned with not profits, but with helping people. Again, they're on the same path that we are, and they're all about raising consciousness and helping people get healthier healthy minds, healthy bodies. It goes hand in hand.
Yep, it starts with what you put in your body.
So let's put out that intention that more and more people will wake up, and we're going to see if we could get Cindy to give us a ding, because dings can be healing. We need to reset our energies to a higher vibrational frequency. We need to reset the mindset of this planet. And it's going to happen, but sooner is much better than later, because as you see, so many people are suffering through the earth changes, natural and enhanced, or artificially flavored, as we say, and also just the endless conflicts that are going on the planet. When people refuse to go along with the system and get themselves out of the system as best as they can, that's when we're going to be able to affect that change that we need to see.
Mm-hmm.
God bless and namaste.
Namaste.